working on my cardio. It's perfect with this audio, you better call an audible. Celebrate this victory win, it's so applaudable. I don't need the audience here, cause this is all I know. Crossover fade away, we living in a great time. Better get your weight up or get ate up at the baseline. This'll be the jump off, started with a jump ball. Throw the alley-oop off to my crew, now that's a dunk ball. 2 points and 1, you about to foul out. Free throw all net, everybody wild out. I can let my game talk, you were just a loudmouth. We can get the ring with the whole team and then the crowd shout.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Mike Brey Show. I'm Jack Nolan, joined once again by the head coach of the Fighting Irish. And Mike, another crazy week. You had one game postponed at Pittsburgh, quickly filled that slot with a game at North Carolina. Had another game at home postponed against Georgia Tech. Almost filled that slot with Western Michigan, but it did not work out. So here you are getting ready for a 2-game road trip next week to Virginia Tech and Virginia. Even for an announcer like me, this is a lot to process every week. What is it like for you, your players, and your staff?
You know, Jack, it has been a little exhausting, the yo-yo and roller coaster you're on a daily basis. And you're right. I love how we recovered and got a game in at North Carolina. We were heartbroken that we couldn't finish it. Great game. I thought we played really well. And then you're looking forward to coming back home and playing a Georgia Tech team that was really hot. And you get a call on Tuesday morning that they can't make it. And by Tuesday at 2:00, you've got a handshake agreement with Western Michigan. And by 5:00, that all falls apart. So we just said, let's treat this as bye week. We don't have a bye week because we play Howard, during the league schedule. So we said, let's just stay the course and practice and head to Blacksburg, Virginia on Saturday.
Now, this is the most fluid situation from a scheduling standpoint that anyone in sports has ever had to deal with. There is no guidebook. There is no playbook. So how are you figuring this out?
You know, I give a lot of credit to Jim Frawley and Rod Balanis. You know, those two are on the point when things go south. We have had 7 games canceled. All 7 have been a problem in our opponent's program. We have not had an issue, knock on wood, and I hope we can continue to stay clean, so to speak. But I give a lot of credit to Jim and Rod in that they are, when we get bad news, game canceled, we go right into, reschedule mode. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Now, Mike, I don't want people to take this next question out of context. It in no way implies that winning is not important this season. But I get a sense from our many conversations that one of the main reasons you are somewhat pleased with what your team is giving you this season is not only that they are coming together and getting better each game, but everybody's back next year. And you are just trying to make sure this year is a positive from a development and improvement perspective and not a roadblock. Am I close on any of this?
No, I think there's a theme of that runs through it, Jack. I would agree with that to a point. And especially after we got a commitment from Paul Atkinson from Yale, who comes in, and it's almost a really cool senior class next year that will play together. Having said that, we're disappointed. We're 3-6, 0-3. We've had our chances. We've not done enough down the stretch to win any of those. I think we'll grow in that area. I'm also very realistic in that we have played the toughest schedule in America to date. And so, it's a balance point of let's get them now and let's grow them and let's figure them out. And there's certainly still a lot of basketball to be played this year, I hope.
Now, Paul Atkinson was my next question. He was last year's co-Ivy League Player of the Year, forward from Yale. He's 6'10". He averaged 17.6 points and 7.3 rebounds last season. Now, the Ivy League decided not to compete in any sports during COVID this year. So Paul's going to graduate at Yale and then join you in the summer. He's considered by many, the folks that follow this stuff, as the best transfer available this season. You had a lot of competition and you got him. What can you tell us about his game?
Well, he'll remind people a little bit of Zach August. There's a comparison, for our fan base, but a low post guy for the most part, really hasn't taken 3-point shots. That's not his game. but really good hands and footwork around the bucket. Just a real good feel for the game guy in the low post, good size. We felt, and even though Jawan Durham and Nick Jogo could come back, given that the NCAA gave everyone their eligibility, I talked to both of them back in the fall after that ruling came through, and they've been here 5 years. It's time for them to grow up and move on in their life. We felt if we could plug a transfer big in for Jawan with what we have coming back, we could really be in a fun position. Paul Atkinson is the best fit and the best one for that, and we were able to get him. So I'm very, very excited about getting him in summer school, hopefully in June.
Shifting now to the one game you were able to play since our last show, you almost got a huge win on the road at North Carolina, and we're going to break that game down in depth in our next segment. But one of the big headline stories jumping out of this season for your team is, of course, the emergence of Nate Liszewski as one of the best players in the ACC. Nate leads the league in three-point field goal percentages, second in field goal percentage, third in both categories among major conference players. And he came into this week number one in the nation in effective field goal percentage at 80.4%. Plus, he's fifth in the ACC in rebounding and scoring. Mike, where is Nate's huge step up in on-court performance coming from?
Well, it's just so rewarding as a coach when you see the light bulb really fully go on. And Jack, you and I know, and our fans know, we've had a lot of juniors all of a sudden, boom, there they are. I don't know if anybody's come on the scene like this guy, though. And it's just, I think it all started with a physical strength improvement over the 5 months of the off season, and working in a weight room that he found and really committing. His body is different, and he's physically able to do things he couldn't do his freshman and sophomore year. And then most of it, as you know, is mental and confidence. And I think right now in that department, he is starting to really believe he's one of the best players in the league and in the country. And to date, he's proven that.
Now, there's another guy we have to talk about in our first segment tonight, and that is sophomore walk-on guard Elijah Morgan. You have often talked about your confidence in putting Elijah into a conference game when it was still on the line. And this past weekend at North Carolina, you did just that for the first time in the first half, and Elijah came through with 5 flawless minutes, even getting to the line and making a couple of free throws.
You know, I've watched Elijah Morgan in practice give fits to Prentice Hub and TJ Gibbs and Cormac Ryan for 2 years. And obviously Trey Wirtz is still injured, so there's an opening there for minutes. And he just totally took advantage of it, played poised, played calmly, makes his 2 free throws. He's somebody I have to keep in mind. I like that we got everybody in the game in the first half in Chapel Hill, and we got a feel for things, and I want to continue to do that. But I have the utmost respect, and his teammates have the utmost respect for him, Elijah, that is, because he just is a warrior, a competitor. There's a toughness about him. We've had some square-offs in practice where he and Cormac, and all good stuff, all just because it's good competitive juice. I love what he brings to the table, and I'm really happy for him that he got a chance to play in a big game and deliver.
And folks, we're all going to get a chance to hear from Elijah. He is our player guest on this show. He's coming up a little bit later. Now, our friends at NECA want to remind you that they're continuing their efforts to make our community brighter. It's what NECA electrical contractors do every day through donations, volunteer efforts, and by training the next generation of electrical workers through apprenticeship programs. The NECA contractors and electrical workers of Local 153 preparing for a brighter tomorrow. When we come back, we will break down all the highlights, and there are many, from Notre Dame's down to the wire 1-point loss at North Carolina right after this timeout. This is the Mike Brey Show, presented by TireRack.com, the ultimate in contactless tire buying. It's time now for our game breakdown, brought to you by our friends at Meijer. On short notice, you head out to Chapel Hill on Saturday to take on North Carolina. In the previous game against Virginia, your offense came out very cold against the Cavaliers. That was not the case at Carolina. Your guys hit 5 of their first 7 shots, including 4 straight threes from 4 different players.
I thought we were really ready to play and compete. We turned it over a little bit early against their half-court pressure man-to-man, but then we got into an offensive rhythm, and I thought we felt really good offensively pretty much the whole day. We didn't turn it over. The right people were getting shots. We were finding people. So I was really excited about where we were on the offensive end.
Now, one of the big bright spots of the early season so far, and maybe it's not getting as much attention as it should, is the play of Nick Jogo. He's really stepped up his game. He gave you 18 strong minutes in this one, including in that offensive stretch that I just talked about. Jogo hit a 3 and dished out 2 assists in his first 3.5 minutes on the floor.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled for him. He's a fifth-year guy. He's hung in there with us. We've hung in there with him. And he is playing like a veteran guy in our system, very confidently, and is such a key guy. And as a captain, Jack, he's become a little bit of a surprise leader for me, what he's done and the voice that he's been for our team and our program.
Mike, North Carolina is so big. You had to play bigger in this game. And 6'9" freshman Matt Zona came through for you in the game, 18 minutes of solid action during which he grabbed 6 rebounds, blocked a shot, and dished out an assist.
Every time we've asked Matt Zona to deliver, starting with the Ohio State game here and throw him in, he delivers. He's physical, he's tough, he's confident. And, I think we need to really keep developing him and using him because we're going to see more physicality on front lines in ACC games.
And he makes plays. You put him in the game at the 11-11 mark of the first half for his first extended stint in the game. And less than a minute later, he grabs a rebound and he feeds Nate for a big 3 to tie the game.
He's got a great feel for that, rebounding and kicking out. He gave us a physical presence in there. He's got the ability to score a little bit too as he plays more minutes. But he's a great example of, you tell a guy, hey, when you get your opportunity, make the most of it. Matt Zona is a great model for that because he got some opportunities early. Then we didn't play him for a while. Then we threw him back in. He's not moped. He's just stayed ready and delivered. That's a maturity. That's more than freshman maturity right there.
Now, in addition to being long, Carolina is 10 deep, and you had to counter depth-wise in this game. You've often said you have confidence in the abilities of walk-on Elijah Morgan to play against ACC competition when the game is on the line, and he rewarded that confidence with 5 solid minutes in this game, including getting to the free throw line and making both free throws to give you a 4-point first-half lead.
Jack, I've watched him go after Prentice Hub and TJ Gibbs and Rex Pfluger and Cormac Ryan in practice for 2 years, and he has the utmost respect of his teammates. And I love the fact that we could get him in there because he's a fighter, he's a competitor, and he's not afraid. And I think we found something moving forward. He's a bit of a, like Zona, the combination of the two of them sparked you a little bit.
Now, Nate Liszeski had a game-high tying 25 points in the contest, including hitting a career-high 7 of 11 three-point attempts. But he also showed how far his game has come when he drove the lane and split 6'11" Day'Ron Sharp and 7'1" Walter Kessler for a pretty finger roll that gave you a 23-17 first-half lead.
He's done a great job of getting to the basket. And now, as I've said, with his physicality and being stronger, I think he's more confident to finish in traffic with the strength gains that he made over the summer.
You took a 7-point lead when Dane Goodwin hit a deep 3 with 4:55 left in the first half. Carolina rallied, and you took a 1-point lead into the locker room at halftime, and you had to feel pretty good at this point.
Felt great about where we were at, Jack. We were playing well. We had them at 29 points. We had done the job keeping them off the backboard, the offensive board in the first half. Certainly that wouldn't be the case in the second half. Yet we had our chances.
Well, you not had your chances. You shot the ball well in the first half. You shot it even better in the second half, hitting 50% of your shots from the floor, and normally that's enough to win.
We were going to have to score to escape them. When you play North Carolina, you're going to absorb offensive rebounds by them. Last year we won at the buzzer. We gave up 19 offensive rebounds. The times we've beaten them, we've given up 15, but 21 offensive rebounds was a little too much for us to absorb.
You also have to move the ball if you're going to beat them, and you did. You had 10 assists on 15 field goals in the second half.
We were in a great rhythm in the second half. What happens a lot of time, their initial pressure when they're fresh is really hard to deal with. They're harder. And then as they get a little more fatigued and we get a feel for it, we get into a better rhythm. And that was certainly the case. And we were doing it on the offensive end. I like what we did there. We couldn't do enough, which has really been our team right now as we strive to be better. We couldn't get enough stops or defensive rebounds at key times to escape with a win.
Now you came up with almost enough big plays to win this. Right after the first time out of the second half, Matt Zona impacts the game again, blocking a layup attempt by 7'1" Carolina center Walker Kessler. He grabbed the rebound, and that play led to a Prentice Hub layup that gave you a 5-point second half lead.
I think, again, Matt Zona continues to give us good energy. He's a fighter. He's a battler. I think we've got something we're really excited about, not only this season, but long-term in our program.
Prentice Hub was really good in this game, aggressively attacking the basket, especially in the second half, scoring all 14 of his points inside the arc, 10 of those points in the second half.
I would make a similar comparison to Nate in that big improvements in strength over the summer. And now as a junior, he can get to the basket more physically than he could his first 2 years.
Hub also had 3 assists, and when he found Liszeski for a 3 with 7.5 minutes left, you again had a 7-point lead.
Yeah, we were flowing, we were feeling good. The run's coming. They're going to come after you. You're not going to win by 7 in Chapel Hill. Can you hold them off? And we just couldn't quite do it.
You're right. Carolina did make it a 1-possession game for the final 5.5 minutes, and your guys still came up with a couple of big offensive plays down the stretch. One was a great pass by Jawan Durham to Nick Jogo for an easy layup that gave you a 63-62 lead with 1:55 left.
One thing that Jawan does is he is a very unselfish passer from the post. And one thing that Nick Jogo does, he's a great cutter. And they roommates found each other. We also, as you know, Jack, we missed some free throws. We've been leading the league in free throw percentage. We missed some free throws we usually make that you're going to have to make on the road against a good team.
One other play that Jawan Durham made that I want to mention, you say he's very unselfish. He makes great passes. He also blocks shots. And the second play I want to mention is Durham's block on the defensive end that led to another driving basket by Hub that gave you a 66-65 lead with just 36 seconds left.
Well, I thought he recovered from foul trouble early in the first half to come back and really do a good job for us and be active. And when he can block some shots and change some shots inside, it really helps our defense.
You build your teams to be veteran. Carolina is very young, but Roy Williams knows the importance of having a little experience out there. And it was the most experienced player on the floor for the Tar Heels, Leaky Black, who banked home a driving basket with 9 seconds left. Carolina holds on to win 66-65, and they defended you very well on that last possession.
I feel for our guys a little bit because I thought we rotated out and switched, and Nate Liszewski was up and Leaky Black hit a really tough shot off the backboard over a 6'11" guy. They did a good job on the last play of double teaming Hub, but I like the fact that Cormac Ryan's coming with a head of steam and he's got a little bit of a body advantage. I think the Cormac Ryan, as he plays more games, would just go make that play next time. Having said that, Jawan Durham with a wide open 12-footer on the baseline, that may be as good as it gets right there. I do think if you're going to win, you got to win it on that possession earlier, get a stop, get a rebound, and get fouled to escape Chapel Hill.
We'll be back with more on the Mike Brey Show, presented by TireRack.com, right after this timeout. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Basketball. It's time now for this week's Ask Coach Brey question, presented by the experts at TireRack.com. This week's question comes from Doug Verecki. Coach, this season feels a lot like the team this season Bonzi got injured. Are the guys capable of stepping up, or is the team one scorer away from being really good?
I think we are capable of stepping up, and that is a good comparison, really. We lost some men last year, but I do believe this group can make progress finishing games. We're right there. We're really close. Again, I love how we're playing offensively. We're playing the right way. We're sharing the ball. Our numbers are good on that end of the floor. Our numbers on the defensive end and rebounding must improve.
Hey, Notre Dame fans, Tire Rack is the presenting sponsor of the Mike Brey Show, and like the Irish, know a thing or two about passion and performance. Their on-site test track is their home court, and they've got a playbook that includes safe, no-contact mobile installation in many areas. Get your tires right at TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. Luke Herringody is the only player in Notre Dame history to score 2,000 points and grab 1,000 rebounds. He finished his Notre Dame career second in both of those categories. Herringody won the Big East Player of the Year award following his sophomore season and earned All-America honors 3 times. A second-round pick of the Boston Celtics, Herringody played a total of 70 games for the Celtics and Cavaliers in the NBA and also played 7 years in Europe. This week, Coach Brey was able to catch up with Luke Herringody.
Well, Luke Herringody, thanks for joining us. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and maybe bigger than that, a newly married man in the fall. And I want to congratulate you on that, but catch us up a little bit. You've retired from your professional basketball career and you're getting on with your life in Chicago. Give us a little bit of an update on what's going on.
Yeah, it was a big year for me. And first of all, it's good to see you. Happy New Year. I got married in the fall, and I retired from basketball after a 10-year career. So, a lot of things happening this year, a lot of changes. It's good, though. Everything's great here. It's good to be home for the holidays with the family and the first time in a long time. So, other than the current state of the world, everything's going well in my life.
Well, we the crazy thing or the negative thing about the pandemic is we couldn't have people at your wedding. It would have been one great reunion of our players. A few guys got over, but I was sorry we just couldn't get numbers over there. But Chicago's been a little bit of a haven for our guys. We got a number of guys over there. Well, what a career you had here. And I think back to when we started recruiting you down there in Cherville, Indiana, the region. I learned about the region once I took the job out here. And I remember the first time I saw you play down in the AAU tournament in Houston, Texas. Do you remember that? And by halftime, you were playing a team from Houston. And by halftime, there were like 4, 6, 9 guys on the Houston team, and none of them wanted to guard you in the second half. And I thought that was a good sign. They all kept saying, well, you got him, you got him, you got him. They were all afraid of you. And nothing's really changed, as you played through an amazing Big East and some of the big guys you played against. But, talk a little bit about your development as a player at Andrian down there and the AAU circuit and everything before you came to us.
Yeah, I think, going into AAU and with my high school career, in my wildest dreams, I never would imagine the career I had at Notre Dame. And I think being in that AAU circuit, it sort of gave me the confidence and the ability in my game to know what I could do. And then, schools like Notre Dame start coming and recruiting me, and I start to realize my potential here. And then I get to Notre Dame, and I have a solid freshman year. And then we sit. I don't know if you remember, we sit down after my freshman year, and we talked about what kind of player I could be and what I could become. And I have to thank you for that confidence that you gave me, because you were the one who I could realize the player I could be. And like I said, I know the story's been told over a long time, but never would I thought the career I had at school would happen. I was just excited to come to Notre Dame, such a great athletic and academic school, and I'm still grateful for that opportunity that I had.
Well, you were a great story, and that's what's neat. You came in naive and just wanting to be part of a team, and I've told this story many times. Sean Carney was my assistant at the time and recruited you, and we put you in the first exhibition game as a freshman, and you only knew one way to play, hard and going for it. And you played about 16 minutes and you had 14 points and 9 rebounds. And we walked off the court, Coach Carney and I, and we looked at each other and said, oh, I think you never really know. You never know how somebody's going to blossom. You try and project in their recruiting. And we thought, we got something really good here. And you got yourself in great shape after your freshman year. And then the numbers and career that you had is really staggering. You know, you certainly had great teammates, as you know. And what's so neat is how you guys all kind of still hang together and are brothers, you know, through all of that. But you were one of those guys that came in with a free mind and just worked and were coachable, and it just kind of starts to happen. Actually, maybe as you watch us, Liszeski is starting to blossom a little bit along your lines, like, whoa, look at that. And we've had a number of guys like that all of a sudden as they get a little older. So it's been cool to watch Nate, and I've had some flashbacks to your sophomore year with him when you came on the scene. Can you think of a time, Luke, where you felt as a sophomore like, okay, I'm really one of the better players in the Big East?
I think that confidence, you know, you try to instill that in me, but, you know, as being on the court and realizing it myself, I would have to say is when we went to play in the Jimmy V Classic in New York against Kansas State and Michael Beasley. Mm-hmm. And you know, on that stage, I started to realize that's, you know, my potential and, you know, what I could do on the court. And you know, I finally started understanding, like you said, I had great teammates and they gave me that confidence as well. You know, Tori and Zach and Kyle, you know, Ryan and Luke, and Rob Kurz. You know, Rob Kurz was a big part of my career, and they made me realize that. And you know, the rest is history. But that would be the time I started to realize my potential.
Rob Kurz was like a big brother to you, wasn't he? He came in and he was very secure with you being a great player. You know, that's how pure and cool our culture was, and I think still is. Tell me if this sounds familiar. So we take the court against North Carolina on Saturday, and I called Nate over and I said, hey, Nate, by the way, you're the best player in the gym today. I think I used that one on you a couple times, you know, many times. My memory of you where you were trending up like a runaway train, which was cool to watch. At Louisville, I think you had 37, 38. And you pretty much solidified the Big East Player of the Year, I believe, in that game. And it was just interesting to watch the confidence you know, on display and kind of you jumpstarting yourself into becoming a great player. But you only knew one way. You played downhill and you played fast and you played hard and you played the right way, you know, which was really cool to see. You know, your crew, so your gang, you came in, it was, you know, in a lot of ways, Luke, I said this to you when we were talking, we had been to 3 NCAA tournaments and then 3 NITs when you and Tori Jackson showed up. We kind of needed to get to the NCAA tournament. And I'll always be beholding to you and Tori because as freshmen, you kind of got us back, you know, to the NCAA tournament and then on a heck of a run, you know, that way. Talk about, can you think of some other memories of guys or games or stories that would be interesting to our fans?
Just talking a little bit about, you mentioned earlier, Tori and I coming in as freshmen. I think the cool thing about Tori and I was we were very naive and we only knew one way We were tough and we wanted to win. And, you guys already obviously had great guys with us coming in. And I think Tori and I kind of just took the reins there that, we wanted to change things around. We wanted to, get the school back to the tournament, and you already had great parts in place. And I think, people ask me what my best year at Notre Dame was. I think I would have to say my freshman year. I'm just talking about how naive I was, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into, or how good the team or myself could be. And the run we made our freshman year was just it was one of those years that's you'll never forget, when with Colin and Russ as seniors, and it didn't turn out the way we wanted to in Spokane, but I think it was a hell of a run, and we put that program in place to for the next 4 years. And that's some of my fondest memories as freshman year.
You definitely jump-started us. I think back to that Alabama game. That was kind of the crossroads game for our group. And we played great, and you played great. Nobody really knew about you yet. It was a national TV game. I believe they were ranked 5th at the time. I loved it because when they came to town in December, it was snowing like heck when they came from Tuscaloosa. And we always talked about how when the snow was whipping off Lake Michigan, we loved for some of those teams to come to South Bend and try to figure out how to get to the Joyce Center. But you did set us up. You kind of jump-started us and got us confident, certainly the rest of the way. Catch us up a little bit on your family. I so miss turning around and seeing your mom and dad in our parents section, and your brother. How are they doing?
Everyone is good. Everyone is doing really well. They're healthy, which is the important thing. My brother got married a couple years ago. They're expecting a baby here next month, so that's great. Mom and dad are retired. They still watch all the Notre Dame basketball games. My mom's still probably yelling from the living room. You probably hear her voice from there. But everyone's good. Like I mentioned earlier, it's I miss the game. I miss playing, but you can't beat being home for the holidays with the family, and that was really important for me to get back here and be more involved with family, and it's been great so far.
I think, you're a great example, and we've had many, of our guys. They've graduated, they go on to play, and you did your NBA run, and then you went to Europe, and you carved out a great long career. And then I've really been proud of our guys knowing when it's time. It's time, and not chasing it when it's really time to get the next phase of your life. And I thought you did that so smoothly and so realistically and so maturely, transferring over. What made you come to that conclusion? Were you thinking about it the last couple of years, how to get on to the next phase?
This is a conversation I've been having, with myself and those close to me for a while now. And, like you said, it was time. My body was telling me it was time. And I don't know what I want to do in the next phase of my life here professionally, but it's time for a new challenge. And it's hard to leave the game behind, but at the same time, it's exciting because, there's a number of things I could do. The pandemic played a role in it as well. And, just being over here and being close to family. And, but at the same time, it's like you said, you have to know. And, could I have played 5 more years? Yeah, I would, but it was just time. And I came to that conclusion. And then I had some great talks with my wife about it, and she's very supportive. And it was just one of those things. I'm very blessed to have the career I had. Like I mentioned before, I never thought this would be possible. I've seen and done a lot of things I never would have expected, and I owe Notre Dame a lot of that.
You absolutely, and I think you're there with peace of mind, because you absolutely maxed out your basketball experience between college and professionally. You drained it dry. You got the most out of it. You really did. And then you moved on to the next phase of your life, and you're still figuring that, which is cool. And that's where Notre Dame comes in, where how can we help our guys, reinvent and use the degree and the Notre Dame network when basketball's over. It's been interesting to watch a number of our guys come out of the professional ranks. They have their degree. They'll call me and say, Coach, now it's time to use the network. How do we get started? And my God, when you need something, you let us know. I know you have a good Notre Dame network in Chicago already. You talked about your parents retiring. I got to tell a funny story, recruiting story. So you committed to us in the spring of your junior year, and we go through then for a visit in the fall of your senior year. We come to the house. Your mom cooks great lasagna. I'll never forget it. And you love those home visits when the guy's already committed, because there's no pressure to really sell. And we're talking, and your brother now has left, and I'm sitting there at the end of the evening. We had a great night, Coach Carney and I. And we knew all along your brother went to IU and played football. Your dad played football at IU. Your mom, it's a big IU family. We knew we were battling against that the whole time. And I say to your parents, I said, hey, Luke's going to be out of the house. You're going to be empty nest. When you guys retire, will you think about staying here in Cherville, or will you go to Florida, or you move south? And your mom very seriously goes, Coach, we really love Bloomington, Indiana. We're thinking about retiring there. And I'm kicking Coach Carney. We haven't signed you yet. I'm kicking Coach Carney under the table. I said, let's get out of here now. Let's get out of here now before we talk any more about Bloomington, Indiana. And so we got in the car, Coach Carney and I, we bolted out of there. I said, let's get out of there and make sure he signs in 2 weeks. But anyways, I appreciate you spending time with us, man. It's great to catch up. I saw you at my golf tournament back in August. Thank you for coming to that. And when this world gets back to a little bit of normal, we hope to see you over here with your old sidekick, Scott Martin, a little bit. We can go out to lunch or dinner and really tell some stories.
That sounds great, Coach. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.
Take care of yourself. Go Irish. Happy New Year.
Go Irish. See you, Coach.
Thanks, Cody. Be safe, man.
You too.
Hello to everybody, buddy.
Welcome back to the Mike Brey Show. Joining us now is sophomore walk-on guard Elijah Morgan. Elijah is coming off his first appearance in a conference game with the game still on the line. He entered the North Carolina game with 8:39 remaining in the first half and the Irish leading by 2, and turned in 5 flawless minutes of basketball, even earning a trip to the free throw line where he made both free throws. When he subbed out 5 minutes later, the Irish were still leading by 2. Morgan has played in 14 games during his Notre Dame career and has scored 12 points, dished out 5 assists. He has made all 7 of his free throws as well. And Coach Brey, regardless of the amount of playing time he gets, I know from the practices I attend, he is a very important part of this basketball team.
Big part of our program. And he is absolutely given fits to Prentice Hub, TJ Gibbs, Rex Pfluger, Cormac Ryan, you name it, he gives them fits. And I was not shocked at all that he gets in and plays well and gets to the foul line and knocks them down. He gave us a spark, and I think it's something we need to keep in mind moving forward. But, he has just been a great addition to our program, and he's got a toughness about him that we all love.
Elijah, you've heard Coach talk many times about all the confidence that he has in you, but what was your reaction when you heard him call your name to go into the North Carolina game midway through the first half?
My reaction going into that, to being called into the North Carolina game was, I was pretty even keel. For me, staying ready is something I pride myself on. So whether that mean getting shots up after practice or just really, run the offense and doing all that I can in practice just to stay ready. So for me, it wasn't really anything too, surprising for me. I was just ready to get in there and prove that I could play.
Elijah, I got to ask something non-basketball. As we know, Jack, New Orleans native, and I always like to ask him about his favorite foods down there because we know how great the food is. What is your mom's best New Orleans style dish that she cooks up?
It's definitely gumbo. She came up here a little bit before Thanksgiving and brought me some, so that was a good treat from home. But She cooks that usually, I say once a month, and that's definitely my favorite dish. Looking forward to.
Jack, we got to get some of that.
Yeah, I love gumbo, but it sounds like we haven't had it quite that good yet. Elijah, I know you're a very good student as well. Now you're a walk-on, but you're also on scholarship because you earned a full posse scholarship, which is awarded to students who are identified as having extraordinary leadership potential. What do you want to do when basketball is over?
To be honest, I don't really know quite yet. I'm thinking about going to law school right now because my major is sociology. And I think I like criminal shows and stuff like that. So maybe a lawyer or a judge is somewhere in my future. I'm not really exactly sure. But I think I'm a pretty open book right now, just trying to find what interests me. So I'm taking some broadcasting classes and some social justice classes. So my book's pretty wide open right now, but I think law school is something that I've looked into a little bit more than anything else right now.
Elijah, I'm so excited to hear you don't want to be a coach. Thank you. We dodged that bullet. You dodged that bullet. The one thing about Elijah and Jack, and speaking to our fans, this is a class act and a winner and an unbelievable representative of the University of Notre Dame. He is going to be a success in whatever he chooses to do, and I'm excited to watch him grow through his life and his career.
Elijah, you had a lot of options on where to go to college. Why'd you pick Notre Dame?
I think Notre Dame it has a great balance between academics and athletics. I think just the world-renowned kind of reputation that Notre Dame has is something that I really couldn't pass up. And then just the opportunity. Of course, I didn't know if I was going to make the team or not, but just that opportunity, that chance that I could play at a high ACC level school. I mean, you can't really ask for anything more than that. So I think just the competition as far as basketball, as well as the academic side and like the networking side of Notre Dame and stuff like that, make it a great combo.
The exciting thing, Jack, about Elijah is he could be a Division I player a lot of other places and had those opportunities, but wanted to come to Notre Dame. And we didn't really know a whole lot about him until we had the tryout. And I'm watching, and after about 5 minutes, I'm saying, how did this come out of left field? And we didn't even know about this guy. It took me about 5 minutes to say, we need him, and he has been just a fabulous addition to our program.
Now, this is the way you set up your walk-on position. They're never treated like walk-ons. I mean, when Notre Dame fans think of walk-on, they think of the movie Rudy, and obviously Rudy was more like a mascot than a player. That's never been the case for any of your walk-ons, but when you talk about Elijah, he was the New Orleans Catholic League MVP back in 2018, 2019. So, Elijah, my question for you is, talk about how this Notre Dame team embraced you. I know you actually started playing pickup with the team before your freshman season, but I've never seen any evidence that they treat you anything but like a full-fledged member of this basketball team.
For sure. I mean, last year, especially when I first started, when I first got on the team, it was just like a full embracement. I was worried about, kind of just not, getting on the bandwagon a little later than everybody else. So not knowing everybody, but I mean, they fully embraced me. They were talking to me, and then we started hanging out, on the weekends and stuff, going to get meals and stuff like that. Just really the outside of practice and stuff, the embracement I got was really, for me, pretty unexpected. I wasn't really expecting to be treated that well. I mean, my dad played when he was in college, and he said his experience was different. So I really just appreciate that embracement that I got. And then this year, coming in, when everybody else came in for my sophomore year, I mean, we're all really close. So it was nice having that embracement and then being able to do that to the freshmen that we brought in this year. So.
Well, slowly, Jack, Elijah's becoming a leader for us. Now he's now a veteran in our program, and he's starting to become a leader and help the young guys. But he usually is the point guard of the blue team in practice, and he runs that blue team. He is the quarterback of that group. And as I've said, he has made our blue team extremely competitive and hard to guard.
Elijah, your response to that?
I mean, I think being a point guard is like being a quarterback in many aspects. You have to, call the plays out, know where everybody's going. So, I mean, I take that very serious. I like, talking, communicating with the players and stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I want to make the blue team as competitive as possible. And then that usually starts for me with, picking up the ball, handling the game, and everybody fits and stuff like that. So, yeah, I take being the point guard for the blue team pretty serious, and I just try to contribute any way I can.
Well, you run the fast break very well on the court, and now you get to run it again, the verbal fast break off the court. Have fun with this. What's your favorite all-time movie?
My favorite all-time movie? Wow. I started watching a lot of Netflix movies since quarantine started. My favorite all-time movie, probably I'll probably have to go with a basketball movie. So I'd probably say Coach Carter. I've watched that movie a lot of times.
All right. First car you ever drove?
First car. My car at home is a 2006 Honda Accord. It was my grandmother's car, so that's probably the first one that I legally drove. That counts.
Favorite musical group or artist?
Probably Lil Baby. Me and there's actually a local rapper from Louisiana. His name is NBA Youngboy, and me and Prentice kind of are the only defenders of him on our team. So that we commonly listen to him.
Who's your role model?
My role model. I would say my dad. He played basketball up until college too. So he just like stand-up guy. He's always taught me the right thing to do. And so I look up to him, just how he acts and, how he always works hard to provide for his family and stuff. So I'd say my dad.
One thing the public would be surprised to learn about you.
I'm surprised. I'm a pretty good dancer. I don't know if I like to dance.
Okay. What's your favorite
I'll say
part
the
of
best
practice?
dancer on the team.
Oh, okay. You're the best dancer on the team?
Practice? Oh, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite part of practice?
Favorite part of practice, definitely, I would say either like 5-on-5 or when we do kills.
What's the worst part of practice?
Worst part of practice, I would say maybe just worst part. Maybe like scout, because I'm not going live. I love helping the right team out, but I'm not.
Elijah likes practice.
I like practice.
Best part of your game?
I would just say my overall poise on the court, and hopefully being able to get the ball to my teammates in like areas where they can make a play.
Part of your game you need to work on?
I don't think you can ever, not work on your shot. You can shoot, I was talking to, I think, Cormac about this. You can practice shooting so much, but you're never not going to miss. So I think shooting is something I can always work on.
Which is better, knocking down a long three, dishing out a terrific assist, or coming up with a big steal?
I think I like being like more of an nitty-gritty player, so I would say coming up with a big steal.
Okay. Assistant coach who's most like Coach Brey?
Here we go.
Definitely Coach Bolanis.
Yep. That's back, Coach. That's back.
Back at me.
Player on the team is most like you.
Most like me. I would say Prentice. I think we have a lot of similarities.
Toughest Notre Dame player to guard.
Definitely Prentice. I mean, it's always a battle every day at practice, but I mean, I love that battle. You know, that's a battle I love going into every day. So I would say him.
Best defender on the team.
Best defender. Probably Cormac, I'd say.
Best leaper on the team.
Best leaper. Probably Tony.
Best dunker on the team.
Best dunker, I'd say Juwan.
Worst dunker on the team.
I guess I have to take that since I can't dunk. I'll take that one. I'll take that.
Best dresser on the team.
I would say myself, but if I can't choose myself, I'd say Cormac.
Worst dresser on the team.
Worst. I say probably like Matt Zona. Yeah, Matt Zona.
Best singer on the team.
Best singer. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody singing before. Cormac sings.
Okay.
I'll say Cormac.
So if you haven't heard anybody singing, who's the worst singer? You don't know.
Worst singer.
Yeah.
Probably Prince. I've never heard him anything with music. If it's not rapping, he won't say it. So I probably Prince.
Beard growing competition. Who wins, you or Coach Brey?
Ooh. Probably Coach Brey. It took me a long time to grow mine. It's not really that full, so I'll say Coach Brey.
All right. Elijah, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck the rest of the season.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great job.
We'll be back to wrap things up on this week's edition of the Mike Brey Show, presented by TireRack.com, right after this final timeout. Welcome back to the Mike Brey Show. Now, COVID permitting, Coach, you'll wrap up 7 days away from the court by taking the court in Blacksburg on Sunday night to take on Virginia Tech, a team that's playing very well.
Well, a ranked Virginia Tech team. And last time we saw them was senior day here for TJ Rex and Johnny Mooney. A group that really loves to shoot the ball. They are a three-point shooting team. They spread you out, but they're a very confident group.
Then you head to Charlottesville for a Wednesday night rematch with Virginia.
Well, we have not had much success against that program, and boy, do we deserve one, but we're going to have to go earn it. But we will go to Charlottesville. We'll stay on the road that whole week down there in Virginia. And the last two in Charlottesville have been really good games. We just haven't been able to finish. We'd love to finish one in Charlottesville.
So in addition to getting a win or two, what's the next step you want to see this team take on this road trip?
I think for us to continue to try and develop a defensive identity and our defensive talk to be more consistent, to be able to keep teams to one and done, especially the last 3 or 4 minutes of a game. A defensive stop or two under the 4-minute mark in a close game is where we need to grow.
Mike, as always, thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
That will do it for this week's edition of the Mike Brey Show, but we will return at this time for the next 8 weeks to talk all things related to the Notre Dame men's basketball program. So until next week for Coach Brey, I'm Jack Nolan. Thanks so much for listening. Stay safe, and as always, go Irish.